Hello everybody, this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and I have been playing in the craft room. Now, you can see that I have quite a bit of stuff on my work surface. If the camera could pan out a little bit, you would see I have quite a lot of stuff all over the place. When I'm done with the video, I'm going to have to quickly clean up so that I can see where I am. But I've spent a good portion of the day playing with alcohol inks, making a lot of backgrounds, so there'll be cards coming. We'll do some process videos in the future, but for now I've kind of set those aside and I've moved on to work on a project that I actually started a couple weeks ago. And that is making an ideology tag. Now I have this Tim Holtz tag, and this isn't the one that I made. The one that I made is all done, but it was similar to this, just the craft tags, and I used that. Now, a couple weeks ago, after watching the Tim Holtz videos on Facebook, and that's going to be the first time I mentioned those is right now. Tim Holtz did a 16-week series on Facebook that just ended yesterday, where he took us through a lot of the techniques. Head on over to his Facebook page. I learned so much from them, including the techniques that I used to do these tags. So we're just going to jump right in. I'm going to show you what I used. And then I'll show you the finished project and how I use them. So I use these two stencils. This stencil actually came from one, excuse me, one of the sets that I have. I think it was an alcohol ink set when I was first learning about alcohol inks. It may have been a distress spray set, I'm not sure, but it's one I've had in quite a while. And then I used this honeycomb one as well. I had this Field Notes ephemera pack that I used. I used some Distress Collage Medium. I used 2 Distress Oxide sprays. Now, I only have 3, but I used 2 of the 3. I used Walnut Stain and Speckled Egg. I used Speckled Egg Distress Paint. Yes, I used Speckled Egg and Walnut Stain were my main colors of this. However, I did pull in a little bit of black soot. Now, I don't have black soot and oxide. I just have the regular black soot, but that was fine. It worked perfect for what I was using it for. And then, of course, I used the Speckled Egg and the Walnut Stain in there. Now, I went way back into my stash for a couple other items. I found this Distress Crackle Paint that I've had for a very long time, and I don't know that I've ever used it. And maybe I'll use it again, but I didn't like what I did with it on this project, and I'll show you what I did to fix it. And then I also had this Tim Holtz Ideology paper, this tissue wrap paper, and I have used this on other projects. I really like this paper. I tend to hoard it, and kind of what this project is about is using what I've got and not hoarding as well. So I pulled that out actually to cover up my mistake, but it was a perfect cover. And then I had some old Tim Holtz Ideology tags. I don't even know that these particular ones are being made anymore. I've had them for years and years, and I've used a few of them through the years, but I pulled one of those out for this. And then I went back into my stash and I found this little piece of lace. This is about half of what I had of this piece of lace. And then I had this hem tape. And so we're going to start with that. So I took this hem tape, and this is just a little scrap of it, and I sprayed it with the Distress Stain, this oxide, the walnut stain one. And then I went back after it was dry and put some Speckled Egg over the top. Because I started with the walnut stain and had saturated it really well, you didn't see the Distress Speckled Egg very well in it. So when I went back and I did the lace, I did the opposite. I started with the Speckled Egg and really saturated it with the Speckled Egg, and then I went back and just put a couple of really light spritzes, so it would kind of dirty it up to match the tag, but not be overpowered by the walnut stain, because obviously dark, light, the dark's going to be way darker. So I'm going to bring the tag out. I'm going to show you the back first. So as you see on this tag, you can see there's quite a contrast there. I didn't want this to be the back of the tag when the front of the tag looked so much like this. So after I was all kind of done with the front, I went in, threw this back in my spray box, and sprayed it with both the walnut stain and the Speckled Egg to get that texture. Now, I wasn't real particular about it. You see kind of in the corner, there's probably where my finger was, or maybe it was just a spot that I missed. There's another spot up here that I didn't really do deeply. and that's okay. That kind of goes in with the tag, but I wanted it to still not be unfinished by having an unfinished back. Now you can barely see in the texture, and I think the camera is just barely picking it up there, but you can see that faint honeycomb. Now, this is a technique that sometime I will show on a video. Again, head over to the Facebook videos. I can't remember which one Tim Holtz showed it on. I believe it was one of the Distress, either the Distress Ink one or the Distress Oxide one. But he took something similar to this, wet it with just simple water, and then I laid it down on top of here, and then I just took a paper towel and just lightly blotted over the top. Then I hit it with my heat gun, and what that does is it lifts off just a little bit of the ink. Now I could have lifted off more, but I decided that was enough, and it just gives it just a little bit more texture. What I'm learning about textures and backgrounds is the more layers you add to your projects, the more pleasing it can be, but it isn't something that you would say, oh look, there's a background on there. And that's what makes it so fun, and what really gives it that layered, fun look. So then let's turn over the front, and this is the finished front. Now I decided I'm going to keep this for myself because it says live in the moment. This is that old ideology tag that I have. And though I very much believe that we need to focus with eternity in view, I also know that for me personally, I tend to get so wrapped up in what I need to do in the future that I don't take the time, honestly, to listen to myself and enjoy the little things. And so I wanted this to be as a reminder to me, and I'm going to keep this in my craft room. I have a special place that I'm going to set it up where it will be a reminder to me to take a minute, breathe. Yes, we live for eternity, knowing whether we know the Lord or not. We also have a future to prepare for, and that's why we go to work. We have to pay our bills and those kind of things. But sometimes you need to just step back and live in this moment, enjoy those little things. So getting back to the tag, when I had prepped this tag a couple weeks ago, I used this gloss medium. I didn't have any texture paste. Well, I did, but it was dried and I ended up throwing it out. So I used this gloss medium, and I used, again, this stencil here. And up in this corner, I kind of went over and pasted over here. So it's got that raised texture down over there. Now I ended up covering most of this up, which was unintentional, but underneath the butterfly is where I used the dots part, also the same texture. And I sprayed my tag with both of these stains again, and then I lifted up. I just took after it was all dry, I took a damp paper towel and just gently lifted up off over that texture so it would kind of lighten up, so it wouldn't be such a deep brown. And this is where you see the black soot is up in this corner. There are some down in this corner too. If you are able to see it on the camera, I don't think that you really can. Just very lightly, very faintly in this corner. Same technique that I used on the back with the honeycomb. You've got some there. There was actually some down here before I started covering it up. And now we get to why I covered it up and what I did. So you may recall I told you I used the crackle paste. Well, I used a bit of it in this corner over the top of this texture here, and then I used a smaller amount here. What I was not prepared for was how white, even though I sprayed over it and tried to blot over it, how white the picket fence came through, and it just did not look good. So that's when I took the ideology paper and the collage medium. I collaged over it, inked over it, there and down here. Now there was, in the process of that, I ended up kind of squeezing out some of the collage medium further over here, or brushing too far or something, and it kind of gave that little sheen from the gloss. Even though it's a matte finish, it's still, I didn't like the way the texture looked different. So that's where I took a little tiny bit of the Distress paint and just gently painted over that area and kind of grunged it up just a little bit. And then I took my ephemera tags and put them right down. Now I really liked the contrast of the blue and the lighter color against the grungier background, and it gave it a little bit more of a pop of color with those brighter colors coming through. I could have grunged them up, but I just like that contrast of the green against the blues and the speckled egg, which is not really blue, not really green, but more blue in my opinion. And I just like the contrast that that little color palette gave. So there we have this tag. You see I ran some of that hem tape behind the tag. I just attached it all down with glossy accents with this. I used the collage medium for the bottom two pieces, but I popped the butterfly up on foam tape. And I had to go with a pretty heavy hand on the collage medium because, again, I was going over that texture. So then you see our lace and a little bit of that hem tape holding it all together. And there we have a tag. So it was a lot of fun. Again, head over to Facebook to the Tim Holtz page and click through if you want to take some time to really learn techniques and stuff. Highly recommend the videos. I learned so much from those videos. But I also had fun just playing. So get out the things that you have, play with them, see what you can do with them. Thanks so much for stopping by today, and remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye.